In the late 1930s, my grandfather worked for a company in Oklahoma City called Singer Pipe and Supply. He and my grandmother lived in the Singer Company house that was located adjacent to the Singer warehouse and offices. And the address was 215 Washington, which later became 2nd Street. This is a picture of the original company house sitting next to the warehouse. You will see the brick. Here's the warehouse, and this is the original home called, I'll call it a lean-to. This photo was taken probably about 1938. Now, over the years, this home had additions. They built something in between the lean-to and the brick, and then they continued to expand the home. So you can see there's a porch in front of the living room, and then now there's no porch. So as I was looking through these photos, these family albums, I always was trying to figure out, well, is this even the same house? I could see the surroundings were, but I just was always fascinated by how they made these additions. So recently I figured out that there was a place on the web called floorplanner.com where you could actually draw a floor plan of your home and kind of get an idea of what it looked like. So what I did was I went in and I drew the floor plan best I could understand from the conversations that I had with my mother and my aunt. And you can see here, this is how the house evolved, basically. So this part right here is the Singer warehouse, and then the front part of the Singer warehouse was an office. And in later years, to give you an idea, here is the scale. This is the warehouse. So you can see this part was probably the offices, and this part back here was the warehouse. And then the Singer house, the original lean-to, was right in here. Eventually it grew to have all these other additions and a garage. So this is the garage and this is the gate. And this was the neighborhood in which my aunt and my father were raised. So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit because we don't really need to go into the details of the warehouse. We want to go through the details more of the home. After you came in, here is a picture of the gate, the entryway. This is the gate, and this is the brick wall is the warehouse. This is my grandfather and my father. So when you came into the house, here is a view of what you would see when you came in the front door. Standing by the bed, you would be looking straight into the kitchen, the table, and the kitchen, and back in here is the restroom, and off over here is the living room. You will notice the ceiling. It matches that original photo you saw of the lean-to. To see the view looking toward the front door from the kitchen, here is a view. Notice the angle of the ceiling. And here's the kitchen, and there's the bed. Somebody's laying in it. And there's the family and guests. Now then, if you went to your left, here is the living room, and here is a photo of the living room kind of standing at that far corner looking in. It would have looked like this at one point in time. Now years later, these windows became little knick-knack shelves because on the other side was a porch, and then they enclosed the porch, and then when they enclosed the porch, eventually they turned those windows into a little nice knick-knack shelf. So speaking of that, here is what that looked like later. You can see back here are the knick-knack shelves that were the windows, and this is my grandmother and me. Another view of this room here would be looking into what was the porch, but became a bedroom. Here is the doorway into what was originally a porch converted to a bedroom, and then this direction would be the kitchen. So this is me sitting there. Now here is a view of the other part of the living room. There was a walk-in closet, and for quite a number of years I believe this was probably the only closet that they had. This is my mother and then her father, not the owner or the residents of this home, including me. When they later added the room over here, a bedroom over here, they put in some steps and in this room. So here's a picture you can see going down into that room off of the kitchen, going back into the restroom. And this is my mother and me. So that's pretty much all the photos that I have that show the inside of the house. There was also a space inside the warehouse for a freezer and a washer and dryer. So the family walked over and into the warehouse to get to those. And I don't have a really good view, but here is a picture years later. You can see going up into that warehouse. And now this is the new front in front of what was a porch that they expanded into a bedroom. That's my parents and me. They also had a garage, a metal garage. And here is a view of the metal garage, and you can see the gate going into the side yard in the additional room. You can see there were trains in their backyard. And to see the view of that backyard, as a matter of fact, it would have looked somewhat like this, because this was the Katy Depot behind them. Let's review how this home looked through the years. This is the original lean-to, and you can see the warehouse, the trains in the back, and this original sloped ceiling, sloped roof home. Sometime probably before 1942, they added the living room with a porch out front in between the original lean-to and the warehouse. In this particular photo, you can see the stairs going up into the warehouse where maybe they had a washing machine, possibly a freezer. And this is a hinged door. I do not know what it leads to. It does not remain there in future years, so whatever it was, it went away. This is my grandmother and my father. By the 50s, by the mid-50s, this is what the home looked like. You can see the original leaning, slanted roof. This is the living room area that they had, and that porch is gone. It has been enclosed. It is a bedroom now. This is still when they have two front doors, one entering the original portion of the house and the other that entered into the bedroom and then living room. Later, this was enclosed and expanded so that actually, I've shown you this picture before, but it looked like this, so that the front then looked like this right here. So there's no door, there's only one front door, and they expanded it just a little bit. Okay, so here is the three-dimensional view, and let me zoom in just a little bit so that we can get a better view. With this 3D view, you can really, I think, get a better perspective of what it looked like. You see the garage and the gate and the side yard, this original portion of the house going up into the warehouse. You actually can turn this and see it at different angles. And then it comes back, you see the gate and the side yard, and let's see if I can turn it just a little, and then maybe bring it down. Sometimes just is a little bit. There you go. So anyway, you can kind of see into the living room. See a person sitting there and standing there, getting a little bit of dimension to this. So this is use of floorplanner.com for your family history.